Kick and chase by Mullins. Kick and chase again by Mullins. It'll be a miracle. Oh, it is a miracle. Fafita tries to crash his way over. He does. Fafita got the ball over the line.
Hunter's kick is over the sideline for a 40-20.
Yeah, g'day champions and welcome to 40-20 Sports. Round 2 team lists are in. We're going to have a bit of a run through that for this afternoon here. Some huge names out and some even better names in. Some cheapy names are coming into their own. We get to see a couple that have come from the bleachers and a couple that are going to step up this week. We'll get stuck into that in a minute, but first of all, our 40-20 comp that we're running. Congratulations to Natalie, the coach of Wailuai, with 1,151 points. You're the top of the league. Congratulations. Awesome first round from you. The 40-20 Ferrets, my team, not as good, 877. That's not a terrible score as far as the week goes. So I'm not too impressed with it, but I'm not too disappointed as well. I'm really happy with how my team sits. Thinking about making a couple of changes, but we'll get into that in a later video. At the moment, we're 197th in the 40-20 comp and 45,000th overall. So we'll be really under pressure for some green ticks coming up. That league code is 726638. Everyone, you've got until round 8 to get involved in that. We've got a merch pack giveaway for that. Like I said, follow our Instagram. We give weekly shout outs for who's winning the overall comp and who's won the week. Natalie would have got a shout out on the page there. So well done to you again. Congratulations to anyone who got over 1,000 points. There was only a handful in our comp. There was only a handful in the whole entire comp in general. A bloody tough week for super coaches, but anyway, we'll move on from there. We're going to get stuck into our team lists this afternoon. We'll go with the round 2 starting Thursday night game for the Broncos versus the Rabbitohs. On the Broncos, it's basically the same back 7 that went to Vegas. We've got Walsh, Arthurs, and Dean Mariner in the wing spot. Staggs and Cobbo in the centres. Ezra Mam, Adam Reynolds there for the back line. I like the look of Selwyn Cobbo. He got dusted up a little bit by Joey Manu, but that's a tough ask for any centre, let alone having your first crack in centre in the big boy league of the NRL. So I think Selwyn Cobbo will be one to look at there in future games. They have a bit of a hard run coming up, but once that's over, around 5 or 6-ish, I think we can look at him as a definite pick-up. Hopefully he loses a bit of cash, and we can look to jump on him. Other than that, Ezra Mam owners, they'll be disappointed with their round 1 score from him. I think it was a 21. They'll be looking for a bit more spark from him. There was a lot of leaky defence in this Rabbitohs team in Vegas. Manly capitalised on that, so fingers crossed for you owners. Ezra Mam will start to get some points there. The forwards there, we've got Corey, Jensen and Haas and Walters wrapping up the front row. Brendan Piakura, Jordan Ricky and Paddy Carrigan. Brendan Piakura owners, super unlucky in the Vegas fixture. Leave him in your side. Do not think about, he's got a 4 in his rolling average. The best thing for people who have a shit game in round 1 is their rolling average barely counts for fucking anything. So leave that in. Leave him in. He is nothing but an attacking forward. So we touched on his base being a little bit low. That's why I left him out. But again, a bit like Cobbo, around 5, round 6, when their draw opens up a little bit, I'll be looking at getting him in. The bench, Tyson Smoovey, Fletcher Baker, Kobe Hetherington, Marty Tapau. The big one, again, Xavier Willison, doesn't make the squad. There was a bit of talk that he was going to make it. He was in, he was out, he was in, he was out. He ended up being out. They ran with Marty Tapau. So we'll be looking elsewhere other than Xavier Willison. For the Rabbits, the back 7's the same there as well. We've got Latrell at fullback, Alex Johnson and Jacob Gagai in the wing spot there. Isaiah Tass and Richie Kennar in the centres, and in the halves we've got Cody Walker and Lachlan Ilias. Now, Cody Walker, he's a bit of a pod. He isn't very highly owned at all. I think coming into the season over in Vegas, a little bit underdone, not having any trials, and a little bit of a calf problem, I think it was. So he'll be one to watch just on how low his ownership is. He may be one that people want to jump on for a bit of a pod. If they're 5'8", if they have a Dill Brown and he doesn't perform, going down to a Cody Walker, it makes a lot of sense there. If he's a low ownership and he's a bit cheaper in price. The big one there for that back line is Jacob Gagai. He wins that wing spot. Now, there was a lot of talk about Tane, Milne or Thompson making it. Obviously, they didn't get over to Vegas. There was a bit of talk about Thompson not going over to Vegas because he had a prior record. I sort of thought he may have just been there because they had no one else to go to, but it kind of looks like he may have that wing spot down pat. Now, a bit more will come into that once Jackie Whiten comes back, but Richie Kennar was pretty much shown up in defence by Ruben Garrick, so I strongly believe that Richie Kennar will drop out of that side. Jackie Whiten comes in. Fingers crossed Jacob Gagai can get in there and stay in there. I'll be looking for him not this round, but possibly round 3 as a downgrade of a cheapie so I can free up some money elsewhere. In the forwards there, we got Tavita Totola, Damien Cook, Sean Kepi is our front row. Back row is Kalamatangi, Tallis Duncan gets the nod, and Cam Murray. Now, Jai Arrow is potentially out for the season, so whoever went Jai Arrow, tough luck. One game out of him and he's gone. Good news is you've got a perfect replacement in Tallis Duncan. Now, Tallis Duncan has not played any more than 40 minutes in an NRL game, so I'm highly sceptical of him playing 80. But the good thing with him being there and being a week behind everyone, we'll get 2 weeks out of him before we know what his minutes look like, how he's structured, what sort of role he's playing in that team. Being on the right-hand edge, running off Lockie Ilias, that could be something that they look to sort of change back as well. They had Jai Arrow there to look after Lockie Ilias in defence. Now, I'm not saying Tallis Duncan isn't a good defender, but he's no Jai Arrow, that's for sure. We'll see what happens with that. The concerning thing again, and what was the concerning thing for owners for South Sydney forwards, is their bench. Havili, Mawali, Mitchell and Burgess. This sort of does look good for Tallis Duncan because I'm not exactly sure who fits into a second row role. They've essentially got 3 front rowers and a Havili can play anywhere, front row, second row, lock, hooker. But I'm just a bit unsure of if Tallis Duncan doesn't play 80 minutes, who is actually going to fill that spot for him. So a bit of a wait and see to see how his minutes end up. And then we'll run from there. The concerning thing from that bench, though, is Sean Kepi, Totola's minutes, massive watch. Cam Murray, I was a bit sceptical on his minutes. I am an owner. He did 58 points in base, basically. But it does look like he's going to get some good game time minutes. I think he got 70-plus minutes, and if he keeps that up, I'll be stoked. So that's about all we got for that game. The first of the Friday night games is the Sharkies versus the Doggies. Sharks 1-7 in their back line again. Will Kennedy, Katoa, Mulatalo on the wing. Ramian and Talakai in the centres. And the halves are Trindle and Nico Hines. Yeah, look, I'm a Nico Hines owner as well, and I'll be looking for a massive bounce back. I have tried to structure my team around trying to give him a VC and then captain someone else. But I think I'm just going to balls it and go Nico Hines as my straight captain on the early Friday game there. The Sharks were good. The Sharks were good against the Warriors over there. We all know that Nico Hines doesn't produce as high an output and top 8 teams, especially the Wars, who I think are a top 4 side. Especially over there, they looked like they were going to get absolutely belted in the first 20 minutes, but they busted their ass in defence. Looked really good. It just didn't happen for Nico Hines. It didn't look like he was involved in the players, what he usually is. He didn't have his hands all over everything. But I pray that it's just a hiccup. I believe it'll be just a hiccup. There's a lot of people saying that Trindle's going to take too much ball off him and too much game time off him and going to steal some Supercoach points. Trindle was his pairing halves partner in the back half. I think it was about 8 or 9 games in the Sharks year last year. He didn't take any points off him then. He didn't take any dominant ball playing off him then. Why would that be different now? One game in the Indigenous All-Stars game where he had a blinder, albeit, I don't think he all of a sudden becomes this master 5'8" that we think he may be and take points off Hines. So don't read too much into that. Nico Hines, still a proven gun. He'll come good. I've got the C on him this week. The forwards there, Toby Rudolph comes back. You've got Blake Brayley, Oregon Kaufusi, Britton Nakora, Teague Wilton and Cam McInnes. Cam McInnes owners will be fucking devastated over what happened last week. He busted his ass, played all of 40 minutes, if that, and then got shagged off to the bench. Dale Finucane, Jack Williams, Royce Hunt and Tom Hazelton. Again, a 4-forward bench, so there's a lot of minutes to go around there with that Sharkies pack. I just don't see how you can name your captain in Cam McInnes and then give him 40 or under 40. So a bit of a disappointment there. Again, our boy he is on the bench. We are looking at him, KL Iro, 18th. There was a little look at Talakai and Mulatalo. Look, to both have ankle sprains. When that happened, I nearly hit the roof going, you beauty, we may have him in the side, but not to be. They seem right to play. The Doggies. Blake Taff hit the fullback. Blake Wilson and Connor Tracy comes on to the wing spot. Jacob Carraz, Stephen Crichton, and Matt Burton and Drew Hutchison in the halves. Super hard to get a gauge on these guys after their round one performance. They had fucking no ball in that first half. Probably the first 50 minutes, actually. They were just working out of their own half. As much a bad game it was for them, it was also a bit of bad luck. So a bit hard to get a gauge on where they actually are. It doesn't get any easier going to Shark Park for this round. Connor Tracy, it's a bit of a no-brainer that he gets picked there for that wing spot. He won't be intimidated by Shark Park. He's played there a heap of times. Everyone was hoping Bronson Jerry would get on that centre and Jacob Carraz to the wing. I strongly believe that Blake Wilson has just played too good that he cannot pick him. And Connor Tracy is a better fit for that wing spot than Bronson Jerry is. Bit unfortunate, but anyway, we'll run with that. The forwards there, Max King, Reid Marnie, Farmer Silly, Viliami Kickow, Preston, and Salmon make up the forward pack there. A bit going on with that forward pack. I'll run through the bench as well, which is the same as what it was last week. Kurt Mann, Sam Hughes, Josh Curran, and Curtis Morin there make out the bench. Had no idea what the hell was going on with the minutes there. It was a bit like the Roosters game. Max King getting 45 minutes, and he seems to be the only one being a dominant front row forward that you think in that side. Albeit Joshy Curran come on, played a lot of minutes. He was really good in the middle for him, but still not a proven big boy, big body. He's what I think of more of an attacking edge role forward. So Max King got 45 minutes. Farmer Silly got 20-something minutes. And then Sam Hughes, their actual only front rower, specialised front rower on the bench, he got under 30 minutes as well. Bit confusing what happened there. I thought Farmer Silly at least would get 35 to 40 minutes. Not to be. So if he gets those sort of numbers, only 20-something minutes, you could probably look to move him on next week. Just see what happens, because when that injury to Josh Adokar happened, Jamin Salmon actually went out. I think he went out to an edge spot, and then he went out to the right-hand centre. So he was on 25 to 27 points in the first 30 minutes. For those looking at selling him, do not sell him. He's a hold. He's a massive hold. Down in your CTWs, I was loving the output. He had 25 points in about 28 minutes, 30 minutes, that sort of areas. Before he got shifted out in the centres, looked super lost. Didn't really know what to do out there. If he gets 50 minutes in the middle, he could get us 50 points in a CTW cheapie. Keep it. Just see what happens with him. A bit of a concern there is if someone does go down, he seems to be the man that is going to go out into a centre position, push some people out. Anyway, we're on with that. Viliami Kickow owners will be a little bit disappointed. He got a 40-something, 44, I think, with a line break assist and a try assist. So a bit disappointing for Viliami Kickow's output, but again, they just had no ball. We'll talk about that with Drew Hutchison as well. Got mid-30s, I think 34, 35 he got. Just persist with it for another week. See what happens with against the Sharks. May get some more ball. Righto, on to our late Friday game. This one should be a cracker. We got the Penrith Panthers up against the Parramatta Eels. For the Penrith Panthers, they are 1-17 the same, apart from, the hooker, Mitch Kenny, and also Scotty Sorensen comes into the side. For their back seven, we've got Edwards, Taruva, Targo, May, To'o, Luai, and Cleary. There is nothing different there. I thought Taylor May, I am an owner. He was really, really good. Sort of looked like the only one that was going to break the game apart. He looked busy, so I'm a massively happy owner with him. Nathan Cleary, bad game, but they scored 0 and he still got 30-something points. So persist with that. Parramatta Eels will give up more points than what the Melbourne Storm will. We'll see how he goes this week. The forwards, Moses Leota, Mitch Kenny comes back from that suspension into the 9. James Fisher-Harris, Scotty Sorensen comes back into that spot. Liam Martin, Isaiah Yeo. Isaiah Yeo was massive in that game, but you would expect that from Isaiah Yeo. Just a gritty game, low points, the ball in play, a lot for the forwards. So he had a really good game. The interchange is Sonny Luke. Do we dare to dream? No, we fucking don't. Lindsay Smith, Liam Henry, and Luke Garner. Now, the big one here is I nearly thought, well, this was my ideology around not starting with Liam Henry. One, I didn't think he was going to get enough minutes. I think he did. 30-odd minutes to 40 minutes, pushing 40 minutes. It's good for Liam Henry. The other one is Matt Eisenhuth moves to the reserves. Luke Garner on the interchange. Now, I thought Liam Henry would drop out. Matt Eisenhuth and Luke Garner would make up their bench. Not to be. If you have him, well done. Good super coaching. For the Parramatta Eels, they are 1-7 there. There is a few injury concerns about Mitch Moses with a groin strain. One to watch there. Keep a little look out for the late mail. Just one to watch there. We've got Gutho, Simonson, Penasini, Harper, Russell, Brown, and Moses. Moses owners, bit nervous as well because he was flying. He was on 30 until he did that groin early in that game. He seemed to get a little twinge. Looks like he is going to be right to play, but he wasn't running the football. Every time he kicked it, he was wincing. I don't know how much that's going to hamper him in this game. He literally got 1 or 2 extra points throughout the rest of the game, the 60 to 55 minutes where he had this groin issue. So watch out for him. Regan Campbell-Gillard, Joey Lussick, Junior Paulo, Sean Lane, Bryce Cartwright, and Jermaine Hopgood. Congratulations, anyone who got on the Carty party. Well done. Sean Lane got the 80 minutes, but a little bit quiet, but he will be one to keep in your side. Joey Lussick. I went off him because I thought it was going to be a 40-40 split with Brendan Hands. Looks like he's going to get a little bit more minutes in his legs. Hopefully for owners, he can get about 65 minutes. That'd be unreal, and he will get a stack of price rises. He looked really good, busting out 60-odd points. On the bench, Brendan Hands, he is a massive avoid. Ryan Madison, Joe Ofahengawi, and Kelma Tuolagi. What I liked about Parramatta last week is that they put Joe in the starting side and Junior Paulo come off the bench. I'm not sure they will do that this week because the Penrith Panthers front row is so stacked. But it played really well with the Dogs. The Dogs were quite light on in their forwards. Junior Paulo came on against the blokes that weren't as experienced in the front row, and he absolutely tore them apart. That was fantastic coaching by Brad Arthur. Well done. On to our first of the Saturday games. There's a bit to go through here, but we'll start with the Raiders. The Raiders-Tigers is the Saturday game there, the first one. The fullback, Jordan Rapana, keeps there. Sebastian Chris comes back via the centres. Albert Hopewadi and Xavier Savage keep his wing spot. Timoko and Chris in the centres. Ethan Strange keeps the 6 jersey, and Jamal Fogarty rounds it out in the number 7. Awesome for Xavier Savage owners. If you had Nick Kotrick, we did go through this. Probably looked like this was going to happen. I did think Sebastian Chris was going to come back in the fullback spot, but anyway, not to be. I thought Rapana was sensational against the Knights up there in Newey. So, yeah, a bit of effort there has kept him in the fullback jersey. The forwards, Josh Papali'i, Danny Levi, Tarpanay, Young, Hosking and Smithies. That is the same as what happened up in Newcastle. Danny Levi was a bit of a surprise. I end up going him over Lussick, but I was nearly certain he was only going to get a 40-40 split with Tom Starling. Not to be. If he can keep that up, if he can keep even 50 minutes in his legs, I'll be stoked. Lucky with the try because he was going like a dog's breakfast. So we did luck out, owners of him. The other thing is he went off with a cork. Now, people were saying he looks like he's picked up an injury. Doesn't seem to be. It looks like he's just a cork. So good there. Morgan Smithies was massive. Ended up going on with the HIA, but still got 58 points. Be interesting to see what happens this week. If he is a 65-minute player or potentially could get 70 to 80, that would be unbelievable. Not holding my breath, but if he can punch out 65 minutes and then still get his 58 points, he's an awesome buy. Starling, Gula, Adam Mariota, he was really good coming off the bench. He was dynamic, although they did have a lot of ball when he was on the field. So got his runs up, but he didn't shirk his responsibility in attack either. So Mariota owners will be happy, and Pasami Saulo there. Now the Tigers, there are some shockwaves here. The backs for the Tigers. This is the first look we're getting at them. Very interesting team pick by Benji Marshmallow. At the fullback spot, Jareem Buller. On the wing, Charlie Staines and Junior Tupu. In the centres, Star Fatoa and Fata Ape. If I've I've fucking murdered that. I'm sure I've butchered that somewhere. But anyone who follows the Guru has got this could be anything thing going on, rates him from the reserve grades. One to watch. It's lucky that they've got the bye first. I'll be having a close look at him. I know nothing about him. Didn't even look at him in the trials because he was so far away from what I thought would be starting. But anyway, we will have a look at him during this week's game. Good test for him coming up, a charged up Raiders outfit. So we'll have a look at him then. The forwards, Utukamanu, Coruscant, Clemmer, Papali'i, Bateman, and Alex Seyfarth. The good one there is Alex Seyfarth. He's reasonably cheap. I think around 320-something K, maybe a little bit higher. But he looked really good in the trials. He's probably one of the standout guys that had a bit of a crack. Gets that 13 jersey. It'll be interesting to see how many minutes he gets. But again, with all these guys, it's really, really good that we get to see sort of how many minutes. We get a free shot at these guys for 2 weeks without getting any price rises, and we can jump on. Now the halves, Lachlan, Galvin, and Jaden Sullivan. I have no fucking idea what's going to go on here because you've got Aiden Caesar on the interchange. I saw a little bit of Lachlan Galvin. He was decent without being anything special. Now, whether Benji's just looking for the future or he's just gone, nah, fuck it, he can have a run with the big boys. This will be the best thing for him. Chuck him in the deep end. I don't know, I kind of liked him coming off the bench, maybe giving Caesar a breather there and slowly working him into it. I mean, it's a tough ask. He's only slight, he's only a young kid, and he's going up against a forward pack like the Canberra Raiders team is. Big ask for him, I think. On the bench, we do have Aiden Caesar. If anyone held him thinking he would get that 5'8" spot and potentially kicking duties, very unlucky. But we did talk about if he doesn't kick, he's probably not viable for Supercoach, so you should have flicked him. Fanua Pole and Alex Twell, Samuela Fainu. Now, Samuela Fainu was in and out of my team. I was flirting with it. But the fact we get a look at him is a good little bit of insurance for us Supercoaches. Second Saturday game is up there in North Queensland. It'll be the Cowboys take on the Knights. For the Cows, the backs 1 to 7 are the same. You've got Drinkwater, Felt, Holmes, Labour, Tuolagi, Dearden, and Townsend. Now, there was a fair few teams that started with Zach Labour. If you did, congratulations. He looks every bit a superstar in the making. His ball running was insane. His defence, which no one has really talked about, was also quite good. If you jumped on him, well done. I know there's a lot of people jumping on this week. I want to give it one more week. The Dolphins were poor. The side he was running at in O'Sullivan has been dropped by the Dolphins. We'll get into that later. But yeah, one to watch. In the forwards, McLean, Reece Robson, Taumalolo, Helam Lukey, Jeremiah Nana, and Ruben Cotter. Now, if you're a Taumalolo owner, shame on you for even thinking of it, but he did only get 21 minutes and then put on ice. Toddy Payton will do this throughout the year with this man. He has an affinity and I don't know what he's got with it, but he loves putting Taumalolo on ice if he gets a chance. Ruben Cotter, he only busted out 50 minutes, but I'm hoping that's because of the same thing. I think Jake Granville played an extended minutes because the team was just absolutely burying the Dolphins last week. So Ruben Cotter owners, pray that he gets up around that 60 mark. He's come out and said he wants to play 80. So being the captain of that side now, along the lights of Tommy Dearden there, fingers crossed we can get a bit more answers out of how much game time he'll get if the Knights put up a bit of a fight there. Helam Lukey looked really good. He got 65 minutes. We sort of thought he was going to get around that 65 minute anyway with Fini Fuiaki, who comes off the bench. But it'll be interesting to see what happens there without the HIA. I'm super keen on him. He looked really, really good. In the mid-20 sort of points. I think it was 22, 23 points alone just from runs. So his concern at the start of the year was his work ethic. That doesn't seem to be the case now that he seems to have all these points in runs and base stats. So one to look out. I'm super interested in getting him in as soon as possible. Interchange, Granville, Neem, and McIntyre. McIntyre was really good, but again, his time in the front row could be a little bit inflated because they didn't chuck Taumalolo on. But anyway, we'll go on to the Knights. We've got Kalen Ponga at the fullback. Tom Jenkins comes in for the injured Nari Tuala. Gagai, Best, Marzu, Gamble and Hastings stay in the halves. Tommy Jenkins, not really anything there. I think he's 600k coming in on that wing spot. He's way too expensive. so he's a no-show for me. Kalen Ponga, look, the owners for Kalen Ponga, we will want some answers there. If he doesn't fire in this game, it is going to be hard because he has quite a hard draw after this match. We're going to need to see some output on him. Otherwise, with the stocks that are in fullback and some of the easier games coming in for some of these champion fullbacks, we're going to need a big game out of Ponga for sure. Owners there. Greg Marzou was awesome last week. His ability to get through work coming out of yardage, awesome. The forwards, Safidi, Crossland, Thompson, Frizzy, Kai Pearce, Paul, Adam Elliott. Kai Pearce, Paul is a big one to watch. 43 points in 40 minutes last week. My concern with Kai Pearce, Paul is that Dylan Lucas, the commentators were talking about, looks like he's bunged his jaw up. I think maybe he's just gone off with a sore, he was bloodied up. He got belted from pillar to post. There hasn't actually been an injury come out. This is only Tuesday night, so there could be something later in the week, but an injury report hasn't come out about Dylan Lucas there. So my concern around Kai Pearce Paul is that this is just the HIA. He's going to miss the 11-day stand down, so that's why he's not in the side. Kai Pearce Paul could only be in this starting team 80. I'm not even going to say he gets 80 minutes, but big minutes in the starting side for 1 week and then back to the bench. So not jumping on him this week. We'll reassess next week, or if an injury report comes out on Dylan Lucas, it says he has done some damage to his face there. The bench, Cogger, Safidi, Hetherington, Jed Cartwright. Again, Jed Cartwright, people had him at the start of the year before he wasn't named. Don't jump on him yet. Just wait and see what happens with Dylan Lucas. I don't know if there's an injury there. I haven't heard anything, but we'll wait and see. Our next game there, the last game for Saturday, will be the Melbourne Storm up against the New Zealand Warriors. Storm, they're the same there, 1-7. Munster is still out with that groin issue. So we've got Pappenhausen, Warbrick, Coates, Smith, Meaney, Peasant and Hughes. They'll just be hoping to get more ball in their opposition 20. It was just a scrappy old game against the Panthers last week. So one they'll want to forget. The forwards, Kamakamitha. He starts at the front row with Josh King. We've got Harry Grant there, Elias Katoa, my man Joey Chan, and Trent Liero at the 13. Huge news for Joe Chan. I was stressing. He missed about 8 or 9 tackles, the poor bastard. He had a stinker in defence. Gets rewarded with another go there, which is awesome because he is 230k in our 2 RFs. Nearly everyone's got him. Hopefully he can bust out some points and a bit more of a decent game just to give Bellyache a bit more of reassurance that he does deserve to be there and he can continue to be there for a good chunk of the season. On the interchange, we've got Wishart, Welch, Lewis and Alec McDonald. So not really too impactful there off the bench there. The Warriors, Tane Tuapiki is in the fullback spot. Wateni Zalesniak, Marcello Montoya, Berry, Tuivasa-Sheck, Luke Metcalf, Sean Johnson make out the backs for the Warriors. Tuapiki was awesome. Fingers crossed, Charles Nickel-Klokstad isn't coming back till round 5-ish. That is probably a little bit hopeful being an owner, but he looked really, really good. His tackle busts were really good. Probably doesn't get as many attacking stats as what owners would like coming into the Storm game, but in saying that, he didn't get too many against the Sharks. It was just tackle busts. I think he still gets the runs, still gets the tackle busts. I'll be playing him in my 17. I think he looked really, really strong, and if he didn't go off for a HIA, he only played 65 minutes, nearly got 50 points, all in base and tackle busts. So I'm pretty keen on him. I'll be starting him in my 17. Roger, Tuivasa-Sheck. Unfortunately, the Sharks' game plan was to just nullify him as best they could, surround him as soon as he got the ball. They did it really well. Still pumped out of 46. So I'm happy with the Sheck's output. If that's as low as he goes and that's sort of his base, his bottom sort of output, I'm happy with that. Luke Metcalf was another one that was really good. He got a 70. Nice little try from him. This is looking like his breakout year. Fingers crossed for owners, that's the case. Forwards, Adam Fanua-Blake. Wade Egan is named despite the injury. I highly doubt he will be in that squad. I'm probably thinking Freddie Lussick comes into the starting side and Jazz Tavaga will pop up from the reserves and jump on that interchange. Again, not 100% sure on what that injury is. Haven't really heard too much on it, but it didn't look good. So, yeah, one to look out for. Mitch Barnett, Jackson Ford, Capewell's been named again. He's got that rib issue. I thought maybe he might be sitting out, but Looks to be an injury that if he gets it needled up, he'll be right to go, and it's just how he can manage that pain. Tohu Harris racks out the forwards there for the Warriors. Adam Fanua-Blake was fucking huge. Sensational. I doubt he'll be getting those sort of scores against the Storm, but congratulations to anyone went on. Jumped on him. The bastard in my head-to-head, one of my best mates, come up against him. He beat me last year first round. He's beat me this year first round. He had Adam Fanua-Blake and Lomax. I'd never stood a chance. Congratulations to owners who went him. The bench there is Freddie Lussick, Tom Alley, Bunty Afoa and Dylan Walker. Yeah, just like I said, look for Wade Egan injury. Lussick could move in and Jazz Tavaga may come in on the bench there. First of the Sunday games is a 4 o'clock game. We've got the Seagulls up against the Roosters. The 1 to 7 is a little bit different there for the Manly boys. Dvojevic, Turbo, that is, at fullback. Tommy Talau comes into the wing spot for Jason Saab. Get a couple of weeks to look at him, see how he's going before anything happens. We've got Cooler, Garrick, Jackson Paulo, Luke Brooks and Cherry Evans. Nothing there we already didn't know. Just have a little look at Tommy Talau, see how he goes for the first couple of weeks. Ruben Garrick was good in the centres. It'll be interesting to see how he goes coming up against, I believe, it'll be Joseph Suoli'i. Just a noted centre. It'll be a bit different than playing up against Richie Kenner. So owners, watch out for that. Their forwards, Taniela Paseka, Croker, Aloe, Olakawatu, Ben Dvojevic and Jake Dvojevic round out their forwards. Carl Lawton, Waddell, Bullimore and Nathan Brown on the bench. Really liked Olakawatu. There was a couple of games there last year where his base wasn't quite there. His base was up for the Vegas game. Whether he just got up for the Vegas game or not, I'm not sure. A good thing to think about with this, though, is Daly Cherry Evans is now... He's always been the predominant half, but he seems to be taking a more dominant stance on the game than what he previously had, even if he can anymore. So Olakawatu can only benefit from that. He's going to get a lot more ball if Ches is getting a lot more ball. So that'll be one to watch for owners. Burbo keeps his spot. Super happy with that. So he looks set for another 70-minute game, fingers crossed. For the Chuggies, James Tedesco, Daniel Tupu, Joseph Suoli'i, Joey Manu, Dom Young gets his first shot. He's obviously all right from that little neck injury he got in the trials. Luke Keary and Sam Walker. Be interesting to see how Teddy goes. Looked decent. His running game was back. His ball playing wasn't quite there. But if you win him, he's a bit of a discounted rate to the others. He did produce a good score compared to what some of the other fullbacks that we were thinking about ended up going, so he'll be one to watch there for owners. Jared Wera-Hargraves comes back from suspension. We got Brandon Smith and Lindsay Collins. That wraps out the front row there. In the back row, we have got Sua Wong, Satili Tupanua, looks to have overcome a groin injury, and Victor Radley. I'm still not 100% sure if Tupanua has 100% recovered from that groin injury. From what I've heard from reports, it sounds like he was doing a bit worse off than what Sua Wong was. And they sort of made out that Sua Wong was in a world of hurt. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen with the minutes there for that sort of back row there. You've got Nafua White, Nat Butcher, Terrell May and Sandon Smith on the bench. One to watch. I can understand if you want to go off Tupanua. If you've got Sua Wong, I think keep him. He played 50-something minutes, and the only reason he came off is because of an injury. So Sua Wong, if you've got him, hold on for the ride. Satili Tupanua, not as confident. He still played 45 minutes and only busted out 25, 26 points. Whether he did his groin a little bit earlier than that and that was hampering his points could be a thing, but he's not always known as a base stat guy. He's known as a try scorer. That's how he gets his points. The last game of the week is the Dolphins versus the Dragons at 6:15 p.m. up there at KO Stadium, I believe it is. We have got, for the Dolphins, the Hammer, Isako, Jake Averillo comes on for Tessie New. That is huge news for people because Farnworth is in the other centre, Jack Bostock on the wing. He will benefit from Jake Averillo immensely. Jake Averillo is more of a draw and pass sort of centre. He did that with the Doggies. Tessie New is more of a run-first mentality, pass, never sort of guy. So Jack Bostock's stocks are rising there with every moment that Jake Averillo is outside him. So hopefully that is a thing that persists throughout the year. Jack Bostock looks like a bit more of a better prospect for me now that he's got Averillo inside him. Nikorima and Isaiah Katoa, the young fella, he gets a start after Sean O'Sullivan seems to get dropped. Sean O'Sullivan missed a heap of tackles, especially on Kyle Labert. So, yeah, bit harsh dropping him after one of those. I think O'Sullivan's a really good halfback, but yeah, he's obviously Wayne Bennett. Knows more about footy than I do, obviously, so he's given him a rest. Jesse Bromwich, Tom Flegler was massive. The best thing about him wasn't his try scorer. It was his 55 minutes that he jumped in. 53 minutes, 55 minutes I think he got. That was awesome to see. Jeremy Marshall-King, he will benefit from the bench that they've got running there. The interchange for the Dolphins is Kerr, Bromwich, Nichols and Wallace, which is a 4-forward bench. Nervous for Flegler with that, but I still think they may throw the minutes around him, not within him sort of thing. I think Flegler will still be that 55-minute guy. I think Bromwich will get a bit more of a breather. Felice Kafusi could even get a breather with Bromwich coming in. Ewan Aitken, love this. Love him as a second row forward. He is a CTW, NRL CTW, sorry. He could be one that looks like a bit of a game changer. He has a really good average, mid-50s to 55s, sort of in that second row forward. He'll be one to watch there. The big surprise is Max Plath. Now, I only think he's there because Ray Stone failed his HIA. He will miss this game. A little bit nervous for him because his minutes were inflated as well. I think he got 40 to 43 minutes last week. Still scored around 35, 40 points. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but he looks like a prospect. If we can have a look, I think the Dolphins have got the bye next week. That sort of gives us a bit of indication of how, in round 4, how he is going to go, especially with Ray Stone coming back. If he kills it, it is going to be hard not to pick him. He is only 5'8", unfortunately, but I'm sure throughout the year at some stage, when they have their rule for Supercoach where they say, all right, we're going to do the positional changes, no doubt he will move into a 2RF. So he could be a 2RF 5'8". If we go ahead, and grab him, get him into our 5'8s, we could potentially move him up to our second row forwards and bring in another 5'8. Good little thing that could come from him. For the Dragons, they were phenomenal against the Titans last week. Congratulations to all you Dragons fans. A bit of heartache throughout the last couple of years, but that was pretty positive signs. Pretty positive signs throughout the trial for those guys as well. We've got Tyrell Sloan, Zach Lomax, Sully, Bird, Ravalawa, Flanagan and Hunt. That is unchanged from last week. Huge watch on Zach Lomax. 30-something points in runs alone. 20 points in tackle busts. He is one to watch. 600-something K or 560. I'm not sure, sorry. I'm doing this a bit blind, so that's just going off knowledge. I know he's around about that 600K mark. So goal kicking on the wing, he's nearly a slam dunk if he keeps those numbers up. It will be interesting to see how much ball Jack Bird gives him because Jack Bird was pretty accommodating with him with his ball playing. Was one that I was a little bit nervous on. Jackie Bird's a bit of a run-first sort of guy, but looked good. Kyle Flanagan, yo beauty, we got that one right. Round 1, not going to blow me trumpet too much, but we did try and convince people to jump into that. The promising thing with him and Benny Hunt is that they seem to be playing this dominant first receiver, second receiver role. Not really sticking to right and lefts. They do defend right and lefts, and they do play down rights and lefts coming out of yardage. But when they were close to the line, Benny Hunt and Flanagan were swapping lefts and rights, really, really good. That can work out really well for Flanagan. If the Dolphins do get a bit of an opportunity at the opposition line, he can be sifting out to not only Moses Sully, but also Jack Bird, getting a slide of both sides and slowing out the back. Slowing another one looked really, really good. But again, he's super reliant on his attacking points. Once he comes up against harder oppositions, we'll see how he goes then. The forwards, we've got Molo, Little, Laurie comes back, Tom Eisenhuth, Jaden Sewer, and Jack DeBellin. Throws a cat among the pigeons because a lot of people were keen on Faitala Mariner. Now he is moved back to that that interchange. He's not going to be a starting back row. Few concerns there for him. I would wait another week. I highly doubt that he's going to get the minutes that he got. He got 70-something minutes on the weekend. So probably one to avoid unless something happens there with Tom Eisenhuth. Tom Eisenhuth, again, tackled his tits off. 60 minutes for him. He was really impressive. If you went him in your CTWs, congratulations. The ever-pending Viliame Fafita, on. Was always going to happen. Knew it was going to happen. Hopefully there's a couple of cheapies that come into our squad, but the way that my front row forward is sort of centred, I'm happy to keep him there as a bit of enough. Hopefully there's an injury or around Origin time he can come back in. But I'm happy to have him there. Just the way my team works is I needed someone in my front row forward, 2RF dual, sitting in my 2RFs. So he works well for that. I'm happy with that. Whatever. Luciano Leilua gets a spot back. It'll be interesting to see if it's eventually he comes back into that starting side. If he gets a couple of games coming off the bench, limited minutes, and then goes into a stint with Eisenhuth, that could be one we watch for. But it is a bit of a wait and see. That's about all we've got to go through the team list for round 2. Super exciting. Jesus Christ, I hope it's a bit easier for us Supercoach players with the teams that we've structured. I'm still super happy with how my team is looking. Probably looking at making 2 trades this week just because I want to set myself up for next week. Next week I will be doing 3. I'll be using a boost next week. That is 100% regardless of what I do this week. There is that many cheapies that you come in and out of your side. Predominantly getting the round 2 good scores is what you need rather than the round 1 scores. So we'll see what happens there. Like I said, follow me on Instagram, 4020 Sports. We've got a little link there down below. We'll be giving detailed analysis on, sort of what our Supercoach team looks like going in, the captain choices for the week, who we are trading in and out, who are we picking in our starting 17 every single week. I want to be fully transparent in how my team looks. I don't want to be one of these guys that comes on here on a Tuesday. Come Thursday, team looks dog shit, nothing to what it compared to what I told everyone on here. Again, that league code is 726638. If you haven't jumped on, jump on. We've got shirts, hats, stickers, stubby coolers. That is all going to be giveaways. We've overspent on the shirts and the stickers, so we could be looking at giveaways throughout the year anyway. We'll be getting a couple of them up on our Instagram as well. We'll show you guys what they sort of look like. But anyway, that's about all we got for tonight. Take care, legends.